Coming up on City Spotlight, we are back on location in Sullivan as we continue Season 9. First, we talk Sullivan Schools with Sullivan Schools Superintendent Ted Walk. Ted talks curriculum, staffing, and big physical changes coming to Sullivan Schools. Then, it's off to the opening of the Moultrie County History Center. David Bowers and Janet Roney share what's inside this new facility and what it means to the people of Moultrie County. We're back in Moultrie County talking all things Sullivan here on City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com. And hello and welcome to another edition of City Spotlight. As you can see, we are on location once again here in Season 9. We're back in a familiar spot, the Sullivan Schools District Office, which means we're talking Sullivan. We're welcoming back to the program a familiar guest to the program, Ted Walk, Superintendent of Sullivan Schools. Ted, great to have you on the show again.
Thanks for having me.
I think if my math is right, Ted, I've done so many of these episodes. I think this is your third appearance in like 3 or 4 years, so great to have you on again. We are taping a little bit later in the school year than we have taped with you in the past. Last time we taped with Ted, fall of 2021, so about 18 months, give or take. How's the school year going to this point?
To this point, the school year has been off to an excellent, I wouldn't even say start anymore. The school years continue to go really, really well. We are kind of in the thick of spring, so we just started our spring athletic activities. We're doing a lot of testing right now, which is not everyone's favorite portion, but something that needs to be done. And so we are fortunate to have our students ready and engaged and participating in that. So going fairly well so far.
As you get near the end of the school year, you're able to kind of, you're nearing the end of that school year, but what do you see as maybe a highlight or so that you can share with the audience about how the school year has gone?
I would say this school year, one of the best things about the school year has simply been and I know we're going to talk more about this later, but some transition prep as we get ready to do some major renovations, do a lot of moving around. Both our students and staff have been very accommodating as we have made some adjustments, whether it's classrooms or going through different materials. As we get ready to do some construction project, it's just a lot of different work, and our students, our families, our parents, our teachers, our other staff members have been very, very gracious throughout the process. I'm just very appreciative of that as we get ready to do some of these major projects.
First 2 times I talked with you, obviously we're at the start and in the middle of the pandemic, and the last time you talked, you said as close to normal as possible. How refreshing is it to be so far past that?
And that really is probably one of the highlights of the school year. And we were fortunate in Sullivan to be able to be going to school every day and have all those things, but just there was always kind of the cloud of what if different either mandates or statistics or things cause us to change, and we felt like we always had to have a lot of contingency plans in place. This was a school year where we knew, even from last summer, that we're going to come into this school year, and it has been as normal as possible. It's COVID's kind of just in the rear view mirror, and all the different adjustments that had to be made, whether that was, and we did, now there are some benefits. We did purchase some extra cleaning products and things, so we're actually able to curb things like even some of our flu and some other seasonal illnesses have been down. So we have picked up some things that we have kept, but to be able to have a normal school year where, whether it's curriculum, whether it's scheduling, whether it's staffing, just be back on track and getting our kids that education that we expect them to have every year has been phenomenal.
You just mentioned a couple of words that are in my next 2 questions, and the first one is curriculum. We taped last 18 months ago, Any tweaks to the curriculum since we last taped?
So the biggest thing that we've been looking at over the last few years even has been our elementary curriculum, specifically kind of our math, and making sure that our elementary math is articulating well into our middle school math, which articulates well into our high school math. And we've had several different things as far as not curriculum related, but it drew my mind as we've been focusing on math. One of the things that we always enjoy doing is the Worldwide Youth in Science and Engineering Contest. Recently, last few years, Eastern has actually taken over, Eastern Illinois University has taken over the overall hosting, and so we have our students ready to go compete at state there in the near future, and it's just been a great experience. And as I say, math, we had one of our students get first place in the regional math contest, and that's typically our high areas are chemistry, biology, but it's nice to throw in some math as well there, as well as English. So we had a really good showing there academically, and it's been a fun thing, but we want to make sure we're continuing to have success, and so we always want to ensure that our curriculum is going to meet the most needs of all levels of our students.
Great to hear about those successes in the world of academia. One of your talking points, Ted, you wanted to share, and we'll start with school staffing.
So school staffing, now we are relatively fortunate in Sullivan that we have been fully staffed and continue to be fully staffed, but it has been a challenge. It has been something that in the last decade or so, has been more and more of a concern to make sure that you get to fully staffed. As far as, positions, teaching positions, there are some elementary positions you used to get 20, 40, 60 applicants for that you might have 8. Now we've been very fortunate to have, a top, some high quality applicants within that 8, and we've also been fortunate in Sullivan that we were able to get our top applicants to come here and teach for us. But across the board, whether it's teachers, whether it's paraprofessionals, custodians, kitchen staff, staffing in schools has been a particular challenge over the last few years. And it is just something that's always kind of on our mind, because we want to make sure if you're going to have the best scenario for your kids, you got to have the best people, and that's the best people everywhere. That's not just the best teachers, that's the best support staff as well. And so we are fortunate in that area, but it just, when you talk about struggles in not just central Illinois, but the entire state of Illinois, and really as you go beyond our state, nationwide right now, teacher shortage, but also teachers or teaching support staff shortage is a very real thing, and it's been kind of a high priority for us to make sure that we are looking at and recruiting and encouraging and retaining the people that we have.
Great to share that information with our viewers. Okay, the meat of what we're going to talk about with Ted, and he kind of alluded to this a little bit later, and as we talk with educators, especially superintendents like Ted, can't not go an episode not being able to talk about facilities. I want to pick up, Ted, on something that you talked about last time we taped. And I asked you right before we started taping, because it wasn't on your initial list, but now I know why. So let's pick up, and you can just kind of roll with the flow here. So you said we have some plans. We need to think about what's going to happen next for the middle school, and ...
So the middle school, last time I talked, may have been 105 years old. We're up to 107 years old in our current middle school building, built without electricity, by the way, which really is kind of a neat thing to think about in the technology age that we were in.
Kind of a wow thing.
It was initially built without electricity, but in June we had a referendum on the ballot, and over 62% of the voters decided that it would be time to approve financing to basically take that building down and replace it. And throughout a number of community forums we had, our initial thought was we're going to replace the middle school with the middle school. We had multiple different public forums that were extremely well attended and had fantastic feedback. And throughout that process, we started to explore the idea of what would it be like if we actually took the middle school down, shifted the middle school students into our current high school, and rebuilt a high school portion in the footprint of the existing middle school. And so with the different feedback we'd received, that was kind of the route that, meeting with the board, the architect, and the community, was going to be the route that we wanted to pursue. We got that approval in June, and so we've been working since then with different architect plans, and we are looking to put that out to bid this summer, and then have a couple years of some major construction projects. Wow. So the middle school was an area of concern for quite some time, and we are excited that we're going to be able to address that. It has served this community extremely well. There is a lot of nostalgia. There's a lot of, I'm not a Sullivan graduate, but I've been in this community long enough that it makes me sad that that building will be coming down, but at some point the renovation costs just exceeded the feasibility of renovations, and so we look to replace with new.
When you mentioned the feedback of the community, the input that you need in this, because these are the community's schools. to have that much support and input from the community tells you how much the schools mean to this community.
That is education has been a priority for Sullivan Schools and has been very obvious through different things such as support for this referendum, but also for things like we have a Sullivan Community Education Foundation that area businesses, area individuals donate to annually, and they provide tens of thousands of grants to our teachers. So education has always been a high priority for Sullivan Schools, and we are very fortunate that we're able to continue that excellence, and not just continue that excellence with our teaching and our staff members, but also with buildings that are going to be really top-notch.
So the plans are for the middle school to come down and I guess is the correct term, annex or addition to the high school?
Great question. So right now our 1906 middle school is connected to our 1950s high school via a hallway through the middle. So right now they'll actually be a little bit closer in the plan, but they will still be connected. We have at Sullivan, it's very unique if you're not familiar with our campus. We are a district of over 1,100 students, but all three buildings are basically located right here. The high school and middle school are connected. The elementary school is across the parking lot, and that was built in 1996. So when this project gets done, we will have a lot. Our facilities will be extremely updated. Yes, our high school is a little bit older, but this is a one-story brick structure that is likely to last for 100+ years and not have as many issues as a 3-story wood structure that is the middle school building currently. So we will be set up very well. The buildings will continue to be connected. We have seen a lot of advantages with our curricular offerings by having the middle school, high school connected. We have classes like our art, our ag. We've done industrial art and Spanish and FCS before in the past. We have one kitchen, so we have to supply one kitchen for these two buildings combined. There's a lot of shared staff in our choral programs, our music, our band programs. So there's a lot of advantages, and we talked about, do you want to try and build somewhere else? And really the efficiency that we get day to day and also the opportunities that we really are able to provide and provide well led us to saying we want these buildings to be intertwined in the footprint that we have.
Also on your list, we're not forgetting about the elementary school. It is, as of now, the newest building, 1996, you said?
Correct.
So you have construction plans for that as well?
So in the process, and again, this was largely driven through our community meetings, when that building was originally built in 96, there was a plan for a classroom expansion if you chose to do so. So that building, when it was built, hosts grades kindergarten through 5th grade. Recently, about 5 years ago, our enrollment was just too large and we were not able to fit everyone in there, so our 5th grade ended up moving to the middle school. We do feel like for curricular and educational purposes, 5th grade is best served as an elementary self-contained classroom.
Correct.
So we are putting on a 16 classroom addition. That's going to serve multiple purposes. One, it will serve our 5th grade students. We also have a lot of unique special education programs. We're able to serve a lot of kids right in our community. Many districts, they have to be on buses and go transport to other districts. We have several different unique rooms that we're operating out of, and some of those require a little additional space, and so this will help with it. Part of the elementary edition is for that. And then finally, our pre-K programs. We've housed a couple classrooms in our buildings, but we're wanting to expand those and have some room for some different areas as far as increasing enrollment in those programs, but also as far as projects and abilities they can do by having a multi-purpose room for them. So the three main areas of the elementary expansion were 5th grade, special education, and pre-K programs. And so that is actually on track to be finished this summer, and we hope to move everyone over for the start of the next school year so we can start taking some of these buildings down. So that one's actually, though it came up last on the list, chronologically, that is wrapping up.
I look forward to seeing the outcome of it, continue doing this program, and let time be our friend, and the changes happen. We look forward to seeing all that. Want to end kind of on a fun, happy note. Ted, I'm taping with you near the end of the school year. When does the official last day of school?
Last day of students is the Thursday before Memorial Day.
Okay, very good. And for you as a superintendent, what is the end of the school year, commencement? What does that all mean to you?
So it's great every year, and I've been in this district for 16 years. I've seen most of these students in various capacities go through. So each year seeing a senior class move on, it just really is something special. This senior class right now will actually be the last one that I had as a middle school principal. When I was a middle school principal for 6th grade, I had all these students as 6th graders, and so this will actually be the last vestige of my former students in that vein, and so it's both happy and it's a little bit sad just to see all these students go. But hearing what they do and go off to really is one of my favorite things. And on that similar note, watching over time, the kids come back, and young adults come back in this community and start establishing, their own families, and having, students of former students come to the buildings really is a very neat thing. One of my favorite parts of this profession.
Appreciate that personal comment there about being able to relate with these kids as they've gone through the years in Sullivan. Well, we have a lot of exciting things to follow up on Sullivan Schools in the near future, year, 2, 3 years, and we appreciate the time again talking Sullivan Schools with Superintendent of Sullivan Schools, Ted Walk. Ted, thanks for all the information, and have a great end of the school year.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Coming up next here on City Spotlight, we're going to have a segment on the new building for the Moultrie County Historical and Genealogical Society. But first, let's take a look at some of the upcoming activities going on in Sullivan. And we're back here on City Spotlight, this new on-location episode on Sullivan. As promised, we've changed locations. We're taping here on April 1st, 2023 at the new location, the Moultrie County History Center. And to help us out, we have two guests to my left. We have David Bowers and Janet Roney of the Moultrie County Historical and Genealogical Society.
Yes.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Glad to be here on this great day, the grand opening of this new facility here on the southern part of Sullivan. We're going to talk about this day, this grand opening, this facility, and all that's in it. But first off, you both are first-time guests. Can you each tell us about yourself? We'll start with Janet.
Yes, it's nice to be here, and so glad that you're here to share what we're all excited about. I'm Janet Roney. I'm from Lovington, Illinois. I used to be a teacher, a history teacher, then I'm a farmer's wife, and I helped with the Moultrie County Historical Society. In fact, David used to be one of my students years ago.
Fantastic. All right. Very good. Nice to have Janet on the program. Janet was a storyteller on the Sullivan This Is Our Story program, so familiar to our WEIU viewers. David, welcome to the program. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you. I'm a retired business owner in Lovington. My family owned the Moultrie Independent Telephone Company that my brothers and I sold in 2016. I've got a little bit of experience on the business side of things, and I was, if you like the term, railroaded into a position. The previous president decided that I was the one that he wanted to help him carry on. So I have been very pleased to work with all these people. I know some of them personally, I knew a lot of them by name, and we've got a great group of people here working.
Fantastic. Great to have you both on. First time here on City Spotlight. In that Sullivan This Is Our Story program that we did on WEIU about 3 years ago, we had a couple of stories that were from the nature of the Historical and Genealogical Society. As I mentioned, Janet, Paul Stone, who I see walking in the background, also told a story about this organization. Let's educate our viewers. If they didn't see the program on Sullivan, give us a brief history of the Historical and Genealogical Society here in Moultrie County.
Well, it started first with just a historical society in 1967. And when I quit teaching, I helped get it started. And then we wanted to add the genealogy part of it, so 50 years ago, this year, we became a Moultrie County Historical and Genealogical Society, which is a mouthful.
Congratulations on that.
Yes, and we've been able to help people find out about their families and give them a much richer life, we think.
David, if you want to add anything to the history of this organization? 50 years old, again, congratulations on providing a history of the county.
Well, what I would like to add is about our older building. It was a firehouse, one of Sullivan's firehouses. It was a challenge for a lot of the members to convert, and more or less the statement, Grandma's Attic, is a description of what we used to have. Today, with the transition, the city of Sullivan, the mayor actually was talking to a committee of 5, and he said, well, why don't you borrow some money from the city of Sullivan and we'll keep it in-house. Their loan program didn't fit us, but we knew that there was a trust that the city had been left with from the Winifred Titus estate. We received a $200,000 matching grant, and we had 2 years to raise that money.
Okay.
We raised our half of it in 9 months.
Right.
So we have had members that have come out of the woodwork to contribute to us, not only financially, but also with many of the items that are here in our facility.
You have a new facility here on the south end of Sullivan, off Route 32, which is also South Hamilton Street in Sullivan.
That's right.
Why was this new facility needed? I guess maybe that's an easy question to ask.
Well, the old building was very useful at the time, but we needed a lot of repair, and it seemed that maybe the best thing to do would be to find a different facility, and we were blessed to find one here. So it's been very, very good move for us.
All right, thank you for all the backdrop of the previous building, the organization. Now let's talk about today. Again, we're taping here April 1st, 2023, the grand opening of the Moultrie County History Center, museum, library, maybe some other things attached to the title. Talk about this day. What does this day mean to each of you, the grand opening of this new facility?
It is so exciting. And we have had a wonderful turnout. We've had a wonderful musical program this afternoon from a group from Bloomington who dressed in period costumes, played music authentic to the Civil War era. We've had a huge turnout of local people who are interested in supporting us, people, new faces too, and we've had a lot of positive feedback from it, so we're very pleased.
David, want to ask you a follow-up about this day. The turnout, I wasn't counting. I would guess there was at least 100 people here at its peak.
Yeah,
what does that say about this day and people wanting to be here for this grand opening?
It's closer to between 175 and 200.
Okay.
And that's saying a lot for the people. There have been people I know from Lovington. There have been people from Arthur, Bethany, Sullivan. Everybody showed up. The county knows what we've put together now, and that's going to be a benefit to all of us. We knew how we could try to meet with our members by communicating with them to help us do fundraising. Today shows them what we've been able to do. We need to be able to keep our fundraising matching our ability to complete this type of work.
You listed off many of the communities because it is a county facility. Very good. All right, I drove by here the other day after I taped the first segment that we did on the Sullivan Schools, and I said, wow, look at it on the outside. I can only imagine how beautiful it is on the inside. We've been showing some of that video as we've been talking. Tell us what's inside the facility.
Well, we're sitting right by a log cabin, which has been built into one of the corners of the building. Behind me is an image of a prairie mural, which actually I painted a long time ago.
Very nice artwork.
It's down at Lake Shelbyville, the original. Anyway, we have a continuous story of Moultrie County, beginning with the very beginnings of the geography and the geology, and flows through the pioneer era, goes to modern farming exhibits. We have a wonderful military exhibit, little theater, Lincoln, the old courthouse's courtroom before they remodeled it. And it's just a fun place to come and see, and you can learn a lot. It'd be good for children to come and see too.
I told a few people, my oldest son loves history like me, so I'm going to have to bring him here. He'll love everything that is on display here. We were at another county's history museum last season on City Spotlight, so it's great to check out what's in the counties and in our local communities. David, this is a repurposed facility here on the southern end of Sullivan. Great space for what you need to put on display here.
Yes, it is. We've been looking at the different displays, and when we talked about them originally, we met in the other room and it was still cold enough. We weren't heating the building all the time, and we had our little campfires where we all brought lawn chairs and sat in the room in there in a circle, and we talked about things. What I really love is that we worked on the military display first.
That's right.
We were able to, we even had some people offer things today when they were here. But to us, it was very important that that be one of the showcases that we put, and that's why it's back there in the middle. And we've been able to put everything else around it. The education display. We have an interactive display over there that one of our local people dressed up in a garb that was actually the person was a teacher who had it, and she did lessons at the center school over at the pumpkin patch. Mm-hmm. So that was on loan to us. Mm-hmm. One Sunday morning, we presented our image on the screen. It was a great opportunity for us.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. Do you each of you, do you have a favorite display in this facility?
Well, frankly, they all are pretty special, but
That's the easy answer, but it's a good answer.
I do love the military display. Pam Wood is our museum director. She and Sue Durbin have done beautiful work in just how they arrange the displays. Mm-hmm. And then there are storyboards that tell the stories. There's interactive things, as he was talking about,
right. Plus
there are screens that tell around the military museum, tell about many of our veterans, and you got to come and see this place. It's pretty special for a little county. We're one of the smallest counties in the state, and yet we can do this. Other people can do something like that in their counties too.
it is a great achievement for your organization.
That's right.
And all the communities that are in Moultrie County. David, do you have a favorite aspect of this place?
Yes, I do. About 6 years ago, I think, let me start back 10 years ago. Mac and Don Young from a Bowling Young Funeral Home were at Dalton City when the old switchboard was removed, and that's the switchboard that's over there.
Very cool.
That is so cool.
They had it in one of the garages, and they were going to throw it away. And I've known Mac and Don for a number of years, and Mac said, let's call David Bowers and see if he would like to have it. So
I didn't know that story.
I had it in my garage at our offices, and one day I thought, I think I need to call the Historical Society and see if they need this. So I spoke with Sue Durbin, and she says, bring it down. So it was in the other museum, and now it's here, and the storyboard makes it. It's the whole display.
David Bowers and Janet Roney with the Moultrie County Historical and Genealogical Society. Thank you for your time here on City Spotlight. We appreciate your time, and congratulations on the Moultrie County History Center here. Glad to be taping with you guys.
Thank you.
And that'll do it for another City Spotlight episode on Sullivan. We've been on location. Thanks for watching. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com.